Hey there, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am meteorologist Adam Claybon, and this is Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase what's happening across the western part of the country weather-wise. You'll find forecasts from our meteorologists in the Pacific Northwest to also the Mountain West. We'll also have forecasts for you coming in from California, Arizona, and parts of the Southwest as well. So this ridge of high pressure that's going to be building here across the area, more across the western U.S., is going to be a big theme here for the next few days, and it will impact this part of the country in terms of increasing temperatures. Now, we start today in Phoenix, where obviously, it's very common to hit the century mark during the summer. However, looks like there's a stretch of temperatures in the 100 and teens ahead. Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries is tracking the extreme heat and monsoonal conditions in the area.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at your weather out west across Arizona, where we are now under the gun of an extreme heat warning. It's not just secluded to the Phoenix metro area, though. You can see how this expansive heat warning really covers across Arizona, southern parts of Arizona into California. So that just kind of lets you know how extreme this element is. This extreme heat warning, again, it goes into effect today, Wednesday through Friday, and we are prepping for temperatures that are going to be awfully close to record territory. So day one looks like this, and understand how the state is literally cut in half. The rest of the state still seeing a good opportunity for some pop-up moisture as monsoon is still alive and kicking, and it's going to generate over the next 72 hours, potentially dropping some rain in the metro. So let's talk numbers, shall we? We've got 101 today in Tucson, right about 112 in Yuma. I've got 113 from Bullhead City into Parker. That does look like to be the hot spot. We're going for 95 today in Prescott, pair of 9s in Sedona, 85 with some pop-up showers today in Flagstaff, and our official high here in the city of Phoenix, 111 degrees. So next 3 days, as I mentioned, due to the extreme heat, numbers obviously elevated, but are they at that record territory? Look at this. The record's 113 to 114. I think if we're going to meet or possibly beat any records, it will be Thursday and Friday. And Friday, because this monsoon is really going to start bubbling up, it's all going to depend on how much cloud cover we get and how much of that is actually going to impact the valley. So that means it's also going to be a little bit on the steamy side. Now, as far as the monsoon meter, we are going to see some active storms developing later today toward the Rim and White Mountains, so the east side of the state, but also northern Arizona and the southeast quadrant, where really all this moisture has been huddled. They're also going to get some active weather. Some of this may be dropping into play for the valley. We only have a 1, which means about 10 to 20% chance maximum. But because some of these storms are getting a little more active, well, we got to put it on the board because we want to be prepared, especially for that outflow and possible dust that's going to ensue. And I do think tomorrow is going to be rather hazy because of the winds tonight. So as you can see, here's our moisture layer. And again, it's rotating around. We're going to get some cloud cover, especially in the morning. But as far as any measurable rainfall, this is the rain forecast. And even for Cave Creek, 1/100th of an inch of rain. Payson, 7/100th. So not a lot of moisture yet. But again, this is going to develop. It's going to bubble up over the next 72 hours. And we've got increased potential as we get closer to Friday for the Phoenix area. So this morning, we've got some cloud cover. That's going to clear out. And then we're going to see the clouds once again converge after about the 4 o'clock hour. And again, not impressive storms, but this is monsoon. These can certainly gain a lot of power and rapidly, and that's what we're going to be watching, especially for the higher terrains into Friday, even this weekend, where the monsoon moisture is going to stick around. Literally, those humidity levels are going to be on the higher side. So today, extreme heat. We've got some clouds. We'll get some clearing. We've got that outside chance at some pop-up moisture. So mapping you through your day on this weather impact alert day, you can see we're in the healthy 100s by the noon hour. Should be peaking around at 4 o'clock. Again, a toasty 111 degrees, and then more clouds are going to converge just before the sun goes down, resulting in active monsoon moisture, especially in the higher elevations. But for the next 7 days, Flagstaff, my goodness, you've got a good opportunity for some showers. It's going to get really healthy through the weekend with 70% coverage. Meantime, for the valley, weather impact alert due to extreme heat through Friday as daytime highs are climbing to 112.
Yeah, it looks like that ridge of high pressure definitely going to be making its presence known there in Phoenix. And outside of there, too, as you go across the four corners, we're going to see this expand eventually. So moving on from the desert Southwest to the Rockies, where temperatures are expected to climb in the days ahead. Here we have meteorologist Kathy Sabin and Chris Bianchi with your forecast in Denver.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we are tracking a hot summer day today. Beautiful sunrise and sunset pictures shared by our viewers with a limited cloud cover, but really beautiful reflections on the lakes and ponds around the area. We've had a little bit of wildfire smoke make it in underneath this dominant ridge. That's added some color to the sky in the morning and in the evening. With the storm track to the north, moisture will be very limited for our region for showers and storms that'll help firefighters in their efforts. But by the end of the week into the weekend, there is a major pattern shift that will help. In terms of the drought monitor, we are seeing excessively dry conditions across the Northwest Plateau, central mountain ranges, and then down into the Great Basin and desert Southwest. So a pattern shift is exactly what we need, because that monsoon plume that's typically produces those scattered showers and heavy rain events every day this time of year is really limited and lean, and we've had just enough for isolated storms. And so today, I don't even know that we're going to have that. Mostly sunny skies. There may be a little bit of cloud cover in areas like Salida, Saguache, down to Alamosa and Durango, but hard pressed to get anything more than wind and lightning out of storms. So the air quality is not great. An air quality alert remains in effect. Some of it's for wildfire smoke, some for ground ozone. We'll start in the mid 60s this morning and warm quickly today. Record today is 99. We'll do about 96 today, closer to 99 tomorrow. Again, these are the two warmest days coming up today and tomorrow before that pattern shift. The cold front will bring us into the low 80s Friday and bring a 45% chance of rain from storms. Then we slide into the 70s for the weekend and first part of next week with a chance for rain each day. So almost like an early preview of fall. This will be a wonderful and welcome pattern shift, because certainly temperatures in the 90s are possible heading into September, which will be here before we know it.
Well, it's certainly been a hot start to our month of August. Our average monthly temperature, this factors in high temperatures and low temperatures for us in Denver, 76.4 degrees. Again, that's averaging our high and our low. That's about 2.3 degrees above average, which might not sound like a lot, but that's actually tied for our 8th hottest August on record, despite the fact that it's only slightly more than 2 degrees above average. Reason being is that August tends to be just consistently hot. So even if you're above the average in terms of high and low temperatures by 3-4 degrees, that's a pretty stark difference compared to the average for us for this time of year. Also want to note 76.4, 2.3 degrees above average. Right when you're talking about 2.3 below that, that's 74 degrees. And that can often be the difference between needing and not needing air conditioning. 74 degrees on the border, 76.4 degrees, you probably need that AC. Meantime, 90-degree days, we've had already 13 of them here in the month of August. And, well, today's going to be day 45 and tomorrow day 46. So we're going to get to that 30-year average for us. The record for most 90-degree days in a single year is 2020 with 75. We will not get to that many. But the good news is we will start to cool down a little bit. So in terms of just how hot of an August it has been for us, it is tied for our 8th hottest August to date on record. That number will likely climb into the top 5 after today and tomorrow. It's also, by the way, going back to June the 1st. Remember, meteorologists, we keep track of seasons based on full months for equal climate keeping. And going back to June the 1st, it's our 19th hottest summer on record to date for us. But how much will next week with the big cool down affect all these numbers? TBD, but so far, it's not just you. It's been a hot August and a hot summer for us in Denver and across Colorado.
Sounds like it's been hot and it's getting hot again there in the Mile High City. And guess what? California is not going to be spared from the heat either. So coming up next, we are going to talk and take a look at the forecast as to what's ahead in the Golden State when we get back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Well, we've been talking about it all show, this wide-reaching ridge of high pressure that's beginning to build across the western U.S. So next up, it's going to be Northern California, where meteorologist Monica Woods has a look at the potential triple-digit temperatures that could be in the forecast there.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods with a look at our regional headlines across northern and central California. And to break it all down very simply, heat is returning. Let's break it down now a little bit more into the region. For the coast, less fog, valley, major heat coming with warm nights for the foothills, and in the Sierra, a chance of those thunderstorms reappearing as well. Short-term forecast, we already start to see that warmth building on our Wednesday. Upper 90s to right around the lower 100s throughout the valley, 70s along the coast, 90s for the foothills, and 80s up top for the Sierra. Now, in terms of the average number of days for 100-degree readings, we usually see 16 in an entire year for the Sacramento area. So far this year, we've had 7. We're going to tick that number up just a few more numbers there as we head deeper into the forecast. Thursday, we start digging into some of that moderate heat risk. That's going to affect anybody who is sensitive to the heat. But by Friday and even into our Saturday forecast, we start to see that expanded and also include major heat risk. That's going to affect everybody without effective cooling and hydration. That includes particularly the northern San Joaquin Valley and much of the foothills. And again, we see a near repeat of that on Saturday, starting to become a little bit less widespread, but it's still going to be a pretty hot stretch here. So for the valley and foothills, it's a weather impact alert. Timing when? Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with the impact being heat risk with lows in the 60s to near 70 and highs from 100 to 105. Need to have shade, hydration, and access to cooling if you can get to that. Heat advisory now in place Friday and Saturday throughout this big stretch of the Central Valley, as well as parts of the Coastal Valley communities. As we move a little bit farther to the south, this is going to be elevated to an extreme heat warning for parts of the San Joaquin Valley and surrounding foothills, even towards the Central Coast as well. That'll start up on Thursday and take us through our Saturday forecast. Also have this fire weather watch. That'll be in place through Saturday. So it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday along the Grapevine, along I-5. We're going to see some gusty winds, low humidity, and that's going to elevate that fire risk. Here's a look at how things are going to transpire here. Very little fog along the coast. We start to see more of those north winds. Those are dry, warming winds. And then our high pressure ridge starts to build back. You see that moving in towards the four corners. It's sinking, warming air, clockwise circulation, and that is going to bring back slight chance of thunderstorms reappearing by Friday, pulling up that monsoonal moisture right along the Sierra spine and the risk of lightning sparked fires. We'll be monitoring closely. In the meantime, a look at our Wednesday temperatures. We're already starting to see 100s for the lower elevations, 80s up top for the Sierra, with again sunny skies for our Wednesday. For the central and southern Sierra, sunny skies. Highs will be in the 80s up top, 90s to near 100 down low through the San Joaquin Valley. Central coast, we're going to be looking at those highs warming. Big Sur up to 90 degrees. Monterey Bay Peninsula staying in the 60s, a nice cool place to escape some of this valley heat. 70s and 80s for the central coast towards San Luis Obispo and Morro Bay, but inland areas, Paso Robles at 100 for Los Banos. As you're traveling along I-5, it is going to be a hot drive into Southern California or northbound into Northern California. 70s along the coast, 100s at least close to 100 inland. Along the coast for the northwest corner of California, Fort Bragg, a nice cool 65. Compare that to Red Bluff and Redding, 101. Into our Wednesday, 103 for closer to Chico. And we'll be in the 100s pretty much throughout the Central Valley from Yuba City all the way through Sacramento and south towards Patterson to about the century mark there. We're calling for that chance of thunderstorms by Friday through the weekend. Outlook in the high country near 100 Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday for the foothills, and those warm overnight lows in the 70s. So our 3-day forecast, you start to see the weather impact alert in place Thursday and Friday. Despite the fact we see slightly cooler weather on Saturday, we still have some lingering impacts near record highs on Thursday as well.
It's not only Northern California that's going to be feeling the heat, but it's Southern California as well. That's going to be dealing with some of these hot temperatures. Now, the immediate coastline should be safe. I think we're going to keep temperatures maybe more so in a comfortable range. But as you get away from the coast and get more into those mountains and those valleys, well, there's going to be a ton of heat on the way for those in Southern California. Here's Vanessa Paz with the forecast down in San Diego.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here's what it looked like earlier along our coastal areas. This was a look from our Hotel Del Sky Camp out in Coronado. If you visited San Diego, you have certainly probably visited Coronado Island, maybe even the Hotel Del. And if you have not, I would certainly suggest it if you do plan on heading to Southern California, San Diego in particular, anytime soon. All right, taking a look at what you need to know. Here are your weather headlines as we get the second half of the work week started for San Diego. An inland heat wave is happening now all the way through the weekend. Everyone except for the coast is under a heat alert, and that will be impacting most of the work week until we get to about Friday night, and it could very well get extended for parts of the inland valleys, especially once we look ahead to Saturday if that heat continues to linger. We are looking at a surge of monsoon and moisture that will give us an uptick in humidity and also bring us a chance for some showers and possibly thunderstorms when it comes to the mountains and deserts. All right, most of the West Coast, a lot of it at least, especially California, will be under a heat advisory or an extreme heat warning, all due to that ridge of high pressure that's going to usher in some very warm air. For San Diego County specifically, the heat advisory will be impacting all of these areas, also known as the inland valleys and the mountains through Friday night. We are expecting those highs to soar close to 100 degrees for the mountains as well as the desert communities, or excuse me, as well as the inland valleys. The extreme heat warning will be impacting the deserts all the way through Saturday night, and highs could get anywhere between 110 and 115. Taking a look at what we have for Wednesday's highs versus where we should be for this time of year, not too much of a difference or a jump versus our 30-year normal. In fact, we'll be trending anywhere between 1 to 6 degrees above average. Daytime highs for the coastal areas will be in the 70s. So we're not really looking at the extreme heat for the coastal areas and the beach neighborhoods. It's more the inland valleys that we're most concerned about. We're looking at excessive heat, especially tomorrow and Friday when the heat peaks. Highs this afternoon, meanwhile, will be in the mid-90s for areas like Ramona. Tonight is going to be mild. We have mostly high 60s. Once we get to those sundown hours, late night will drop close to 70 degrees for the coast as well as the inland valleys. So unfortunately, not a lot of relief when it comes to those temperatures, even when we talk about the overnight hours. For tomorrow, we will be warmer than today. We'll be in the high 70s, low 90s for the inland valleys, and close to 100 degrees for the mountains, soaring near 115 for our deserts. Here's that ridge of high pressure. We have troughs of low pressure, but they're sticking well to our north, which is why we're not expecting cooling anytime soon. And notice the rotation of that ridge of high pressure. It's actually going to usher in some monsoon and moisture, picking up some moisture from the Gulf of California, and that's the reason why we'll have that chance for some showers, possibly some thunderstorms, looking ahead to Thursday and Friday. It stays fairly dry Wednesday, but notice how we have more of that green on our futurecast here, especially when it comes to Friday night, and that indicates that light shower activity that we could be experiencing, but it looks like most of the instability will be sticking to our north in Riverside and San Bernardino County. If anything, we'll just have an uptick in humidity, which will result into muggy conditions for us here in San Diego. High 70s all the way through Sunday, and then we'll shave off a few degrees looking ahead to next week. The inland valleys will be in the mid to low 90s all the way through Friday, shooting down to the low 90s Saturday and Sunday, and then we're back in the 80s. So talk about a short-lived heating pattern that we're experiencing over the next 7 days. It lasts all the way through the weekend, and then we cool back down start of next week. So mountain areas, 90s all the way through the weekend, close to 110 by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, everyone getting in on the heat here across the western U.S. Up ahead, we'll take a trip up the coast to look at the Northwest. High heat is on the way for that part of the country as well. More on that when we get back. From the southwest to the northwest, where it looks like areas here for the northwest will be right on that outer edge of that ridge we've been talking about so much here during the show. But it's still going to impact us with a bit more of that heat, especially here in Portland, where we're going to get reminded that summer is not done with us quite yet. Higher temperatures are on the way there, too. Here's meteorologist Rod Hill with the forecast.
Nice day here in Portland. Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. We are getting people prepared for our next round of hot weather. In fact, yesterday afternoon, the National Weather Service came out with step one to recognize this, their extreme heat watch. Now, it's interesting that their alert map, everything colored in here, is identical to the last heat wave. It goes from Cottage Grove, which is just south of Eugene, up I-5 through Portland, all the way through Vancouver and up into Cowlitz County, including Kelso, Longview, and Castle Rock, and then extends out in the gorge through Hood River. For temperatures 96 to 100 and 102, I would say confidence is full, meaning high, that we will see some 100-degree temperatures again on Friday and Saturday here in the Willamette Valley. And if you're wondering, why not the Dalles? Because the Dalles in our last heat wave out in the East Gorge hit 105. But keep in mind, the Weather Service alert is heavily based on climatology, meaning what are you used to? Well, folks out in the East Gorge and Eastern Oregon, they're used to hitting 100 degrees, 101, 102, 103. But we're not as used to it here in the valley. We're not as used to it in the West Gorge as well. So that's the reasoning on that. Here's a look at my current number forecast for Portland. And if anything, these are numbers I still think that I might have to raise. I pretty much left them alone based on the data I looked at last night and early this morning. But forecasting for Portland, 98, which is the record for Friday's date back in 1942. Forecasting 98 Saturday. The record of 101 is certainly a potential. And then 95 on Sunday. And the record 99 is also something that's possible. There are weather models that love 100 on Friday, love 100 on Saturday, love 100 on Sunday, and still love us well up into the 90s Monday and Tuesday of next week. So thinking this may turn out to be the first stretch beyond 3 days this summer of 90-degree heat. This is what I call a wonderful news map. I just wanted to share it with you. This is the current Northwest large wildfire map. Only 3 fires, large fires considered burning across Washington, and the only one is this Palmas fire that is not contained. The others show pretty good containment. And only 1 fire burning in Oregon down in Harney County near the Idaho border, and it is 100% contained but still burning. So the point is, right now our wildfire scene is really quiet. Now obviously with hot weather coming, the vegetation will become that much drier. Any spark from machinery or camping or anything could quickly set a blaze that would spread. So fire danger will be increasing as we get into the hot weather. Satellite picture doesn't show much. We've had a little cloudiness this morning in some spots, but this will go on to be a mostly sunny day. Our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City, brightening up. Should be a mostly sunny, 60-something degree day. Lots of folks out enjoying the beach. And this is one of our 2 Timberline cameras from Mount Hood looking down the Cascades to the south. So that's Jefferson, and then you can see the visibility is pretty good. You can see the 3 Sisters down in central Oregon there as well. Past temperatures for hikers at 4,000 feet in the Cascades today will be about 70 degrees. Our state capital, beautiful sunshine this morning. Portland's had some cloudiness, but mostly sunny skies is what we have in the forecast. Mid-80s in Salem, McMinnville, and Corvallis. Winds today will be northwest 5 to 15. More like low 80s when you cross the Columbia River. This shows Vancouver at 83. And then our map, no 90s anywhere today. So that's real comfortable weather for this time of the year in central and eastern Oregon. And let me get you to Portland's 7-day. I'm billing today as the day that you would want to get out and maybe mow the yard. That's what I plan to do this afternoon because I'd rather do it with an 83-degree high than nearing 90 tomorrow and nearing 100 on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The KGW Weather Impact Alert for the hottest of the weather Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and still reaching 90 on Monday and on Tuesday.
Well, that was great news to hear from Rod. He talked about how a lot of the wildfires here across Oregon and also across Washington actually are not in too bad of shape. And so now as we send you over to Idaho, where there were more hazy skies due to that wildfire smoke, that has improved and cleaner air has returned to the area, at least for the time being. They're seeing higher temperatures as well as most of us, and it seems like that's only expected to get hotter with this ridge of high pressure beginning to take over. Here's Hector Mendoza in Boise.
Hello, my name is Hector Mendoza, forecasting out here in Boise, Idaho for KTVB. And I know a lot of folks are kind of either sad or excited that autumn is just around the corner, but we are tracking meteorological fall that comes along in about 12 days from today, hitting on September 1st. So now a lot of folks are anticipating a lot of the stuff that comes with the fall, some of the cooler temperatures, the changing of the color of the leaves, and even some of that pumpkin spice latte crave that everyone has. So that's coming up in about 6 days. And here are a couple other things that we are looking forward to and we are going to start to see and notice as we get into the next month or so, as we're about a day away from seeing some of those average high temperatures down into the upper 80s and continue down into the mid 80s towards the end of the month. Again, on repeat there, 6 days until pumpkin spice lattes are going to be hitting the shelves, and that is something we're going to continue to see even more and more of in some of the stores. Then as we look onto the next 16 days, we are just 16 days away from the first BSU home game. We do have our season opener in 8 days, but for those folks that are excited to head back out onto the iconic blue field, that is what's happening in around 16 days. And as we get closer towards about a month from now, we are going to see some of those average temperatures dip down into those 70s. But as we look on ahead into the next 5 days, we're not seeing temperatures get into the 80s or even down into the 70s, as we are anticipating them to go the other way and make their way on up closer to triple digits as we head on into Saturday, as we are anticipating some of those temperatures at 99. Could see some spots here in the Treasure Valley hit 100 degrees, so we'll see that. And then we see another cool down Sunday into Monday. But as we look at what's anticipated for today, we are going to see this ridge of high pressure that'll bring us some of those warmer temperatures, some dry conditions to the Treasure Valley, but we are seeing some moisture that is trickling in into some areas into the Magic Valley and even portions of the Central Mountains. But those winds will start to pick up as we do have a system that skirts its way through the north, and those temperatures drop today. Will stay seasonable, but still warm for today, and that's what's going to stick around, along with some of the hazy skies and lots of sunshine for today. But it's not until we get into the weekend that we start to see more of that moisture make its way area wide and see some of those storm chances return for this weekend and heading early on into the week. But we need to talk about some of the hazy conditions there on our second headline as we continue to see the rock fire bring in most of those smoky skies to many spots into the mountains. And we're also seeing some of those hazy skies as we continue on into areas in Boise, but coming in from the south, from Nevada. So that's what's going to continue to see some of those conditions stay pretty smoky in some spots. And then other spots will continue to see a bit of some of that clearing as we get towards this afternoon and evening. But it looks to continue there for the Magic Valley. But in terms of air quality, we aren't really seeing much of an impact. We're going to continue to see that in some of those views there in southwest Idaho and southeast Idaho in some spots. But again, as we look at some of the air quality, we're going to continue to stay good. And in that green category is what we have forecast for today. And we will continue to see that into the next couple of days. But as we look at the 7-day forecast, we'll see temperatures back into the 90s for the mountains. We'll see some clouds and chance of some storms heading into the middle of the week. We look at the Twin Falls area and see those temperatures back into those low 90s there into Saturday before cooling back off into those low 80s. And then we'll see that as we look at the 7-day forecast here in Boise, we will see that temperatures will stick around the low 90s into Thursday. We'll see some lighter winds into Friday, and that ridge of high pressure continues to build, bringing us even warmer temperatures into Saturday. And then we see the chance for some of those storms coming along for Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, and into the middle of the week. We'll also continue to see those very warm temperatures early on into those low 70s to upper 60s as we head on into Tuesday.
Well, summer definitely still looking to flex its muscle here as we go throughout the next few days. And after the break, we stay in the Pacific Northwest and head to the state of Washington to round out your weather out west, where they are too feeling the summer trend of those higher temperatures, which will be increasing as the week goes on. Plus, a critical resource for the health of our entire planet, kept safe right in San Diego. Later, we are going to take a look inside San Diego's Frozen Zoo, where scientists are preserving species one cell at a time. All right, welcome back. So Eastern Washington is seeing lots of sunshine with plenty of warm weather on the way for them as well this week. That big ridge of high pressure we've been talking about, that heat dome over Colorado and Arizona, is cranking up the heat with hot and dry conditions in the area. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick has an in-depth look at the weather in Spokane.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. Another beautiful summer day for eastern Washington and the inland Northwest. Already got sunny skies out there. It's a very calm forecast day after day. The sunny skies will rule. It's just about the heat and really how much hotter the upcoming weekend will end up being. If anything, a little breezy today, but the sunshine will win out the day, even with some areas in central Washington actually seeing the remnant of a storm system from yesterday. You're going to see satellite radar in just a moment, but first, as we kick off with the almanac here, we're pretty much at average for mid-August standards. Forecast high at 84 degrees today. Still no rain in sight at all. But this is about as perfect as it gets temperature-wise, and with low humidity, this is always feels like a destination spot across the entire country, if you will. Come to Spokane, where you'll enjoy 84 degrees for the high temperature with low humidity. So you might have to pop the AC for about an hour or two, but nothing more than that. In fact, you could just open the windows at night, let some of that cooler, fresh air inside your home with low temperatures down into the 50s and even some 40s in this northerly corridor from Deer Park through Newport and Sandpoint, Idaho. That is not unusual, even throughout the summer season, to have some nice cool mornings to work with and offset some of the hotter days. So this is like the sweet spot where it's like a little warm in the afternoon and a little cold at night. But if you're splitting the difference, that's about as perfect as we can draw it up. But we'll start to tilt more towards the hot end of the scale between now and this weekend. Again, all blue skies, maybe a little bit of a gentle haze in the distance, but nothing that'll disturb us there. I was awing at the clear skies we had at night and early this morning, where we saw this nice triangular configuration between Jupiter up here. This is Venus, and that's the crescent moon. I'm actually surprised that my phone was able to pick up even the unlit side of the moon. A beautiful sight, that about an hour and a half before sunrise. And you'll still see it the next couple mornings as well, wherever you may be watching this from. But in terms of the cloud cover, there's a little bit left over for central Washington. Nothing to worry about other than maybe a sprinkle still left over. But this was a cold front yesterday, but it's just a shadow and a shell of itself at this stage for this Wednesday because there's no temperature difference anymore. Instead, what this is doing is it's actually kicking up the winds just a little bit, but there's no strength to this storm system anymore. If anything, there might be a little extra cloud cover, but even that feels very minor. Wind speeds will be about 10 to 20 miles per hour today, and then outright calm for tomorrow. The blue shades, quite literally nothing in terms of the wind speeds for eastern and central Washington. So the focus will become how hot is it going to be, both this weekend and beyond for the rest of the month, as a heat dome sets up over the southwestern U.S., and the influence and impact of that will be felt all the way up towards the Pacific Northwest. So from Spokane's perspective, high temperatures climb to the 90-degree mark starting on Friday, and it stays in the 90s from there on out. With this being such a slow-moving and stable weather pattern, it can last for a very long time. And we're looking at more than just 5 days worth of 90-degree heat. Really could last through the end of the month in some scenarios. This weekend, though, beautiful but hot outside, up to 93 degrees both days. Not quite records. Those stand at 99 and 100. Will be a fair bit off of that. But the late August outlook, again, compared to elsewhere in the country where it's going to be cooler, it's going to be much hotter across Washington and Oregon. So high temperatures hit the 90s starting on Friday, and it stays that way through the weekend.
And in Seattle, we're actually looking forward to a warm and dry forecast here for the next couple of days as temperatures remain seasonal. Now that upper level low, which did bring some much needed and much helpful or needed rainfall here across the area last week, well, that's going to begin to depart out of here. And after another day or two of mild conditions, high pressure, that same high pressure system over the desert southwest, is going to start to build here across the Pacific Northwest, and it's paving a way for the hot weekend.
Well, happy Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Rich Marriott, and well, we're looking at a pretty good looking day around western Washington today. We did see temperatures yesterday running mostly around the mid 70s, and we liked it so much we're probably going to do it again today. We did see a pretty good deck of marine clouds move in overnight. Still in the process of burning off there in Bellingham, but by the time we get to this afternoon, everybody's going to be looking at sunshine up and down the sound. And temperatures again running very close to the mid 70s. There in Everett, still looking fairly gray for the start of the day, but that'll be clearing out. Out along the coast at Westport, they've already cleared out. Lots of blue sky out there and sunshine headed their way, and temperatures right along the ocean beaches running mostly in the mid 60s today, so a great day to be out there along the Washington coast. Our first alert 7-day forecast shows things are changing as we head towards the end of the week and over the weekend. We're going to see things heating up as we head towards the end of the week. Saturday and Sunday, either one of those might be our hottest day of the series, and we could see some places into the low to maybe even a few mid 90s down in some of the hottest spots down in the south of Olympia and out towards the Cascade foothills. And then we see a little bit of gradual cooling as we head into next week, but it is slow cooling. The satellite image shows not a whole lot of change. We've been talking about the low that's out here in the Gulf. That's kind of reforming a little bit farther to the west. In the same time, we have here over the western states a big area of high pressure that's formed up there. That is going to stay in place. In fact, it's going to gradually shift a little westward and push in over the Pacific Northwest. That is going to have the effect of cutting off our ocean air conditioning, which is never good. We're going to be looking for those temperatures to start to move upwards, and then we're going to see temperatures probably make it into the low 90s in quite a few places, maybe as early as Friday, but definitely for Saturday and Sunday. And then finally that high is going to kind of move away, and you can see that in the computer model. The low is a little bit farther to the west than it has been, and the high gradually strengthens and moves towards the west and starts to build up into the Pacific Northwest. It cuts off that ocean air conditioning and lets us heat on up, but we should see it start to cool back down, and by Wednesday to Thursday of next week we should be back down into the 70s as we head towards the end of August, which is pretty amazing. That's almost done. Take a look at the high temperatures you can see over the next 7 days there for Seattle. Is going to get up into the upper 80s probably either Saturday or Sunday. Those can go a good degree or two either direction. If you get down to the South Sound down around Olympia, you're looking at temperatures possibly getting into the mid 90s, so definitely a little heat wave over the weekend headed our way. In terms of smoke, the good news is still no significant smoke being produced by that Bear Gulch fire there over by Lake Cushman, and the fire over there on east of the Cascades has apparently been damped down enough we're not seeing much smoke, and with that we are looking at pretty good air quality here for today and the next couple of days. Our concern is going to be, though, as we hit that heat over the weekend, that we could see a flare-up of that Bear Gulch fire, so we'll keep close watch on that in terms of our air quality. If you headed up to the mountains, great hiking weather actually for the next several days, and over the weekend the mountains might be where you want to be because it'll be quite a bit cooler up there, but lots of sunshine headed their way here. We got a little bit of fog starting the day there at Mount Rainier, but that's going to go away and turn into sunshine, and high temperatures at the highway pass levels will be getting mostly into the mid 60s this afternoon, so some really nice hiking weather headed our way. Here in the lowlands, we'll see the temperatures not too far from where we were yesterday, upper 60s and low 70s north of Seattle, mid to upper 70s Seattle southward, but we see that warm up gradually start to pick up. Tomorrow we'll be seeing some 80s in the South Sound, might touch 90 in some of the warmest spots as we head on towards Friday, and then over the weekend is when we're going to see those hottest temperatures before we start to see that cool down as we head into next week. We'll take probably until middle of the week for things to finally get back closer to normal. In fact, if we look at the 6 to 10 day temperatures, you can see those temperatures really cool back and finally into the mid to upper 70s as we head on towards the end of August.
And we would like to thank meteorologist Rich Marriott for that forecast for us from Western Washington. All right, so up ahead, we'll dive into our national forecast where we're talking about storms out east. Also, we're talking about the desert Southwest, the heat. Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit more and also have a look at what we're expecting as far as Hurricane Aaron and the latest on that. Stick with us. All right, so we are going to be diving into our national forecast right now. And well, we've been talking about it, the heat across the desert Southwest. We're going to have a little more information on that. Plus, we're going to take a look at the storm outlook out east and what's going on with the conditions out there. And we'll have a quick update on what's happening with the latest with Hurricane Aaron with Julie Martin.
And for your Wednesday, we are monitoring Hurricane Aaron, not expected to make a direct impact at land along the coastal Carolinas. However, looking at Some major impacts including life-threatening rip currents and tropical storm watches and warnings in places like the Outer Banks up toward Virginia. Also extreme heat in the southwest and southern plains, and a few scattered storms as we head to the east. Here's a look at those temperatures for today. We'll stay comfortable around the Great Lakes and the Midwest region. In general, topping out around 80 from Grand Rapids over toward Cleveland. You'll be even slightly cooler than that. The heat backs off a bit here across the deep south. We're still in the 90s though, from Texas all the way over to Georgia down into Florida. Up the I-95 corridor, we're looking at slightly cooler temperatures. Back into the 80s we go, and then cooler as we head into New England. And then here along the west coast, still remaining very mild in the Pacific Northwest. Central Valley starts to heat up though, Sacramento at 100 degrees, and the desert Southwest stays extremely hot with Phoenix at 111. Here are those watches and warnings as we head over the next day or so. In white here, these are those extreme heat warnings, and those are going to be impacting millions of you really from Las Vegas in through New Mexico and Southern California. So very dangerous extreme heat there. Some very hot temperatures with heat advisories in the high plains, and then also in through the southern plains into the deep south from Texas over in toward say Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. You're all going to be feeling some of that extreme heat. And then we have the severe weather threats, and in general we're at a lower level today, a level 1 out of 5, and we could see a few scattered to strong storms here across the mid-south into the southern plains, and then also on the high plains, and then even eastern half of the U.S. Not out of the question we'll see some scattered storms as we head into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. All right, let's talk about the tropics then. We still have Erin out at sea, and it is now a Category 2 hurricane, but we have a couple of other areas. This one here, we are watching the National Hurricane Center giving this area of disturbed weather about a 60% chance of development over the next several days. And then the one back off near Africa, that one has a 40% chance of development, but it is expected to be very short-lived, so we're not expecting at this point any major impacts from that. Closer here to home, looking at Erin, it will not make a direct hit on land here, but you'll notice we've got the rip current warnings up. We have tropical storm warnings for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, tropical storm watches as we head into Virginia. However, much of the East Coast is going to be impacted with extremely dangerous surf and rip currents. Let's head west then. Here's the forecast as we head into the Pacific Northwest. Very comfortable. Boise, you'll be back in the 90s. Heading into the south, that heat returns with Phoenix staying in the triple digits. Hot in Texas with those 90s, and then into the deep south, we'll still be in the 90s as well. Heading into the Midwest, pretty comfortable temperatures. Comfortable a little farther north also, and then cool in New England with the 60s and 70s. Mid-Atlantic, you'll be in the 80s.
And as promised, that frozen zoo we mentioned earlier, well, they hold cells from hundreds of species. And when we come back, we'll tell you why it's a crucial safeguard for our planet's future. Welcome back. So for the past half a century, the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance has kept an incredible archive, freezing the cells of multiple animal species. And it's all in the name of conservation. San Diego's Neda Iranpour takes us inside the frozen zoo.
When you think of the San Diego Zoo and the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, tanks, liquid nitrogen, and vials may not come to mind.
What are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is one box from a rack in the frozen zoo.
The curator of the frozen zoo, Marlise Hoog, shows us that in each box are dozens of vials holding the cells of more than 1,300 species and subspecies.
You have a narwhal here.
That was kind of interesting. No one had grown a narwhal before, so we tried different techniques. We had enough material to try a few things.
Okay. And it grew. I really thought they were more like fairy tale stories, but they are real.
Real, living cells frozen in time with the hope, if ever necessary, these animals can be saved.
To see all of this right here and the potential this could have.
The potential for now and then again 50 years from now.
Each vial is filled with anywhere from 1 to 3 million cells that they grew from the skin of animals.
They attach on the bottom of a flask and they grow and divide. And it takes about a month on average until we have enough cells.
Notice right here, this is set at negative 196 Celsius. That's about negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit to keep these cells frozen. If it gets warmer than that, alarms will go off. They'll come quick and resolve the problem, cool everything down. And as another safety measure, there's a whole nother duplicate frozen zoo. This seemingly tiny sample represents a massive miracle of science. The Przewalski horse, known as the pea horse, was extinct. They needed a male to help rebuild the population. First came Kurt, a clone created from skin cells. Kurt was named after Kurt Bernishka, the founder of the Frozen Zoo, a man who in 1975 had the foresight to know banking each animal could be useful to conservation.
When the Frozen Zoo started, there wasn't the technology we have today.
Oliver Ryder, now director of conservation genetics, was there in the mid-1970s. Tell us what it's like for you to have been a part of this for this long.
What's been amazing to watch it grow.
Then came another Przewalski horse, this one named Ollie, after Dr. Oliver.
I want to say, long life and many children.
The Frozen Zoo also added genetic diversity to the black-footed ferret, down to only 7 on Earth in the late 1980s. They are now looking ahead.
An investment in biobanking is an investment in the future.
Now asking countries around the world to also bank specimens.
It's such a rewarding job. Every day we don't know what we're banking today. One day it might be a vaquita, one day it might be a whooping crane. And our job, the technicians in the lab, our job is to try to get those cells to grow.
Seeing how far they've come in the past 50 years, leave it to your wildest imagination for what the next 50 will bring. For Earth 8 at the Frozen Zoo, I'm Netta Iranpour.
Really great conservation efforts right there. That kind of gives you, though, Jurassic Park vibes, though, right, Sue? Just kidding. All right, so that does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Adam Claybon. Thank you so much for being with us today, and be sure to join us tomorrow for our next Weather Out West.